Next. Do we have other speakers? See none, close public hearing. Well,
Wait, are you coming?
if you want to speak, please come up.
If there'd be other people. William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. It's my first chance to look at the renderings, and I'm not exactly what to make of it. Yes, it may be better than the existing, but it's really completely our best foot forward. What we have is essentially a decorated box, and the box stores are a challenge. But I have a feeling in a short period of time this will look like a dilapidated box. The lack of fenestration, lack of windows up front, the transparency is missing. The fact that the pavilion elements are just essentially tacked on to two sides of the big box is a little concerning. And I think our city, if they're going in the direction of something such as an Oriental theme, that we can push it a little bit further, demand a little bit more from this group, who I'm sure is talented and can pull this off, to possibly be a more continuous roof line, to possibly add more glass, to make it a little bit more welcoming and less of a fortress. Otherwise, it's about as utilitarian as you can get in terms of the layout. I truly wish that the team go back and try to seek a higher level with this project. And our city really needs, any new construction here, we really need to put our best foot forward and not sort of slip back. Even though it may be better than some of the dilapidated buildings we have here, let's not build it with the possibility of it looking dilapidated so soon in the future. Let's really be something inspirational for our community, particularly this community. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? See none, we'll close public hearing.
Oh, never
Have any questions?
mind. Should we go?
Go ahead.
Oh,
Councilman
it-
Buscemi.
okay. The existing gas station there now. That's where I get my gas and I wash my car. They have the drive-through gas station. I saw the rendering. I think last week. I do think some of and I don't know if we could work. I am eager for something new and nice, and I have just a couple of questions regarding staff. Are these 7-Eleven are separately owned? They're not into a franchise, or are they corporate owned, or is it individually owned?
They're corporate owned.
Okay, so they all the same. I do think one of our residents made some points. Would we be able, or is this the right time, just to add a little bit into it? I do want to thank you for doing something new and paying tribute to our theme, which is nice. But I do think Bill Pavitel has a couple of things. Can we get some more landscape, some more glass into it, some little more design? I did find it a little bit plain. We are looking for something new, which you are presenting, and I'm for once really appreciative of that. But can we get some? Is that something we could work on? Because I know this is your project, and I am in support of the project. But I do think Bill and I believe Jim had mentioned that a little bit more from the design.
I'm going to call on
Sure,
Bill Pfeffer.
the
I know this is our staff from Bowman and the engineers,
Okay.
and they met. I don't know if, Bill, you met with anyone at the city, but I know they had several meetings, worked closely with staff on the design of the project.
Mr. Manager, let me. Okay, thank you.
So I think it would be better for,
Yes.
yes, to answer your
If
question.
you met with Steph, I didn't even know. At least I ought to get my two
Good
piece.
evening. My name is Bill Pfeffer with
Yes.
Bowman Consulting, engineer of record on behalf of the
Yes.
applicant, located at 13450 West Sunrise Boulevard, Sunrise, Florida.
Yes.
I guess I'll start with the question about the green space. How can we incorporate more green space? So anytime we're designing and laying out a convenience store, circulation around the canopy and getting the fueling trucks in and out are paramount.
Okay.
Usually the green space is dictated on how to get the trucks in and out, and That's exactly what we have here. We've got a very tight canvas to work with. The existing gas station has 5 points of access to the public right away. We work with staff and DOT to limit that to 2. So from, I guess, a pre versus post improvement standpoint, we're drastically increasing the green space. We're meeting code. We're trying to provide landscape buffers, planting, but also keeping safety in mind, as some of the residents mentioned. 7-Eleven's protocol is to keep the site well lit, but on site. Keep the lighting down so it doesn't spill over to the neighbors, but provides a safe environment that kind of distracts some of the unwanted activities that some of the residents were complaining about. So we don't want to clutter it with landscaping. We want to meet code. We want to provide buffering, but do so in a responsible manner.
Okay, to the second question, the design, I know it's a convenient store, and I know it's there now. What can we do to make it a little bit more appealing or more welcoming?
So we've actually gone a little bit above and beyond, believe it or not, what the code requires in terms of architectural design. So I know there's some CRA guidelines that implement some of the Chinatown design elements, which are not actually required in this part of town. And what
No,
we're
I
trying
know.
to do is kind of be the pillar in the forefront on
No,
th-
we
those design
appreciative of that part. We mentioned that. I don't think none of the residents were concerning in regards to that. My question was, I guess that the fact that you said you did meet with staff, it's a disconnect between us and staff. It's not really your fault, because like I said, I saw I think the picture of it maybe a week and a half ago. They showed it to me, but I wasn't aware it was coming up right now. I find out that it was coming in front of me last week, which is fine. Like I said, I don't have any problem supporting it, but I would like to at least, and this is something what staff would have to at least put some input in, because it's not fair to you, because you are communicating with them, and I'm just now seeing it with the public, but that's fine. Thank you.
Councilman, if I can add to the conversation, staff actually has an outside architectural firm that we work with through the Development Review Committee. Actually work very closely with the applicant on this project. So it's a vast improvement to what would typically have been there. Certainly there are architectural elements that they're proffering that they're not required to because they're outside of the Chinatown area. But if there are specific features that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think,
contemplated.
Mr. Joe, I'm not really talking about the theme. That's fine with that. It's just the overall, the look of it, and I think that's what Bill was talking about. And if I had knew before, I think it's a meeting that you and I, Mr. Manager, we could have where I think staff would get the actual, what we trying to
Right.
get.
So since we
Yeah.
and that's why I asked her she was about to ask, are you looking for more like a more open look in
Front
the
glass,
facade?
something
Yeah.
nicer. I'm not talking about I like the theme. It's not something more.
Some more transparency is
Yeah,
what
some
I'm
more.
hearing.
I don't even know. I don't know how to say it. All right, thank you. But we'll meet Mr. Manager with staff, and we'll get that vision of, and I think exactly what I was looking for is what Bill and Jim kind of articulate. But it has nothing to do with you. Thank you so much.
I have some
Go ahead.
comments. Do you have,
I'd just like to thank you for Slurpees. That's all I have to say.
Sour Patch Slurpees? Thank you. The new 7-Eleven on 119th and 7th is really nice. So, just really a nice improvement, so thank you. To Mrs. Jor, we had our architects, Sinalowski, Romanek site. They've made recommendations, 2 of which seem major. One is the roof barrel tile has the,
That's been incorporated.
So there-
So
so we
you'll
know-
notice there's a final comment from the architectural firm that all the recommendations have been incorporated and are reflected
they
on
have-
the final renderings.
so
So they have complied
done-
with
and
architectural recommendations.
they had a problem with proportion. Has the proportion been changed?
That's been scaled back as recommended by
Scaled
our
the way they
architect.
want. And then there was a lot of other items for lighting, bicycle racks, trash receptacles. So all that's been remedied by our request.
Correct.
And
Those
then-
recommendations were made by the architect.
And then our engineers, Kittleson and Associates, they also made some recommendations about cross-access for circulation.
Those have been met as well, Councilman.
Okay. So what we can do up here is that they are within their right to build what they want, and they've
Correct.
gone by the recommendations of our architect and engineer. So
Correct.
it's
I have a
their-
quick question about it.
Councilman
We-
Yaname.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You said we have a architect and engineer firm, right?
Hmm.
Hired by the city to do what? To oversee.
They assist the staff in the design review process. If you recall, before, well, you have the city staff that does a review, our internal staff. Then you have these, professionals that do the same review, and they go back and forth. They make recommendations, and now, because of the change in the LDRs, that process ends here in
Correct.
front of you to make the final. Well, for anything over 5,000 square feet, that process ends here with you.
How many square feet is this project?
It's 3,000 square feet for the convenience store.
3,000? So why are,
3,033.
the property 5,000 square
Yeah.
feet?
But the
Not-
canopy itself is an additional 3.
6,100
So in total, it's like 6,000 square feet.
Remember that. Okay.
So move, I guess.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Desime to approve tab W. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Uh,
opposed?
Does this have to be a roll call?
Nope. All opposed? You want a roll call, Vice Mayor? But it's a resolution. So do you guys want to?
It's not a resolution, is it?
No.
It's a resolution. Proposed resolution of the mayor and council.
Okay.
So I have a motion made by Councilman Desime, was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 4-0 vote. That completes the agenda.
Thank you. Okay,
We early.
we
Motion
ready
to
to
adjourn.
adjourn?
You wasn't here.
And now the real meeting begins.
Okay, so we're gonna have,
Hey, Kelly.
Citizen forum.
okay, we're gonna have citizens forum start. Please limit your comments to 2
Thank
minutes per person. Thank you. Welcome to North Miami. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes, and we will not be going back and forth with answers. After citizens forum, we can address any questions or responses.
William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. If I may just try to a little bit more articulate on the former matter, I think the problem with the aesthetic of what was presented is that it looks like a 1950s strip mall box that became a Chinese restaurant at some point, and at some point, the 7-Eleven takes over and puts something of a completely different aesthetic, puts up a pavilion in front of that, of really a mismatched combination of things. And I think that's what's primarily the concern. There was no effort to carry through the design or the motif of the box along with the canopies and vice versa. And that, I think that disjuncture, that ambiguity, will lead to less than success for that project, as well as not having the transparency, the welcomeness of it. On a different matter, I've been away for a while up north, and I've had a chance to think about some things in our city and why some things are challenges to us. And I'm wondering if we might take the time to, at some point, reconsider some major themes of our zoning, which is obviously a favorite topic of mine. But what if we were in the future to start to think of projects in our city as what we want to see, rather than getting so caught up on the numbers? What do you want to see? Well, if we want to see better projects, then we may have to relax a little bit on the interior space. We have people on the heights, we allowed a certain height, and the developers come in and they squeeze in as much as they can. Well, you're not going to get a very luxurious, airy, lofty, inviting space out of that. And if we build out to the sides, we're not really getting a lot of the green space that we deserve. So maybe we should be pushing more for that and saying, hey, we want out of these projects, we want the better things, we want the better amenities. How can we relax a little bit to accommodate that?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, as well as all the other amenities that we're
Thank you.
looking for.
Next person?
No.
If you're going to be speaking, please come up, because we don't want to, take 30 seconds between each speaker.
Jim Garrett, 11610 North Bay Shore Drive. I like the look up there of a woman leading us.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm addressing the city council and the city administration. Look at the CAFE report that was issued by your auditors. It's the first full year of Mr. Springs' tenure as the city manager for administrating the budget and for administrating the financial results of the city. We learned in April, when the report got done and the auditors came, that the city had a deficit spending of $4.8 million. We also learned that our reserves went down to $13.6 million. We also learned, which the city manager did do a right decision in borrowing $45 million from the state to address the issues of the Winston Water Plant with a low interest rate. However, this council in June, well, I learned today in the Miami Herald that this council in June allowed a $7 million transfer over to a fund that they authorized. And that concerns the bond investors. There have been allegations made. I believe in due process. I do believe you're innocent until you're proven guilty. That's in our Constitution. But however, it needs to be fully investigated. And one of the things is we need to look at the revenue bond that we committed to, about the $45 million for the Winston Water Plant. We need to look at about the transfers, and we need to ask questions, serious questions of, we need to control our excessive spending. We need to get our budget in line, or increases. Or we have so much bloat in our budget with employees, with expenses. In the last budget meeting, I compared us to Coconut Creek. You look at the two cities, and they have a fire department, and we're $14 million over. Thank you.
Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard. I'm concerned about the Costco money given to us on the meeting on April 24th. The $2 million sent to us was compared to, by our mayor, as a bad prenuptial agreement, with us being the losing side of that. And as such, the direction from council when I was there for the meeting, as well as when I reviewed it again today, was to send the money back, and that was April 24th. And yet, we didn't. So I wonder, first of all, why the money wasn't sent back in April. And I also wonder if it wasn't included in the budget, as Councilman Bieniemy specifically asked, how did that line item show up in Mr. Henley's complaint in his attachments? And what does that mean for us in this deal we have with Sole Mia Costco going forward? Those are some questions. I couldn't really find out the answer because in the budget there doesn't seem to be a list of revenue sources, so that I couldn't find one in the budget. So that's kind of gotten me a little confused as well. So I'd appreciate the answers to those questions. Thank you very much.
William Simpson. I'm exempt from my address. I'd like to thank Councilman Bieniemy and DeSolme and for their looking over the budget items in the second reading of the budget, specifically the Costco money and $3 million drop from the reserves. I'd like to thank Councilman Galvin for his interest in the budget and taking an audit with it so that we can get to the truth, because it seems there's a lot of rumors on the street. Rumors are not facts. I would like to know, and a lot of the citizens would like to know, what really are the facts. The citizens want the truth. Thank you, Mr. Bieniemy. Thank you for your interest in your astuteness, and Mr. DeSolme, and Mr. Galvin.
Next.
Good evening, Council. Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125 Street in Sunkist Grove. It's come to my attention this week that there was a letter that was made public that one of the employees of the city was fired in an inappropriate way, that it was due to many discrepancies in the city budget. I stand today to ask for an independent audit to occur now of the budget to see exactly, to test the truthfulness of the budget. I suspect, and I have said myself, I cannot see over 20 job openings not fulfilled in the budget for 17-18, and yet there being no surplus in the budget money. I have deep questions and concerns, and I request, council, that you authorize impartial, forensic budget audit of the budget, given the many discrepancies that have come forth. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Yeah, it would be nice if you all could come forward and be ready to speak.
Hi, good evening. John Porter, 340 Northeast 131st Street. I'd like to thank Scott for coming to a very spirited resident meeting last night. Was very interesting, but we did get a lot accomplished. I think everybody in the room sees the need for a forensic audit. We need answers. I think there's a lot of things that are up in the air right now. I trust that the council is going to do what they need to do to get all the information and then make a decision and hold people accountable if that's what's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council. Howard Tonkin, 12600 Griffin Boulevard. Thank you very much for getting the toxic water signs up on the rivers. It's good to see that the signage is out there so that people are fishing less and getting in the water less, because we don't want to see people getting sick. A scientific study just came out that said that 95% of the plastic in the ocean comes from rivers. And that's from 10 rivers basically in the whole world, 8 of which are in Asia. But it goes on to say that 95% of the plastic that goes in the ocean comes from rivers. And so a lot of plastic and pollution goes in the river from our city. And I think beyond just putting up the sign saying that the water is toxic from the sewage outlets and so on, we need to really address what's going on in our Alita Basin and our rivers, what's being put into the rivers, how much plastic, dead animals, dead iguanas, educate people that they're not garbage dumps. Our rivers are our waterways. We are a city on the water, and we must get used to being a city on the water and taking on the issues of climate change. A first step towards that is really beginning to look at cleaning up our rivers. If you kayak down to Miami Shores and you see what's at the garbage boom down there, it's just disgusting what comes out of our city. We really need to address the main issues. Obangao Restaurant on Dixie Highway on 119th, the gas station at 135th, and the building to the north of the sewage pumping station that is being refurbished right now. Those are the main garbage problems for our city on the Biscayne River, as far as I know. The other waterways I don't really know. But if you go to the islands in our city and see the mountains of plastic, it's just tragic the way that our waterways are treated. Thank you.
Does anybody else? See no one, will close public forum. To answer questions, I know personally I spoke to our attorney several times this weekend and the manager, and have requested the independent audit of the budget process, which we have been advised has already been started. I'm going to let our attorney explain to the audience.
Okay, once you're done.
What exactly we are doing, because we will be getting an audit to get the answers. Allegations have been made. They're dollars and cents. I think it's something that will be found with an audit.
May I go, or you want the attorney to answer?
You want me to answer?
Why don't we let,
Okay.
So Councilwoman, as you, on Friday night, you called me and explained to me that a letter had been out. I hadn't received that letter at that point because of the title on the email that was sent. I wasn't aware. I thought it was actually spam until I got your call. As I mentioned to you at that time, I had been consulted by the manager on the termination. And at the time, because this happens every time we've seen nowadays to fire. Anytime we fire an employee, they run out and get an attorney. And on this specific person, because of, he's dealing with the money, what I had told them already was that we probably would need to get an internal audit done. So immediately upon termination, order the internal audit. So that had already been done. You all again requested it, so it coincides between what staff was doing and what the council was doing. The internal audit started today. It's being done by Anthony Brunson, PA, back in April 25th of 2017. I believe at the guidance of the manager, you all selected an internal auditing services firm to do this sort of thing, and so they've been commissioned to go ahead and do the internal audit. My understanding is that they said that they would have the audit done before the next council meeting.
Thank you. Councilman DeSome?
Okay. First and foremost, I'm a little bit taken back because just like you received calls, I did too, although I was not here and delivered the complaints. And that's another story. But I waited. I did receive a call. Well, first of all, I got an email on Saturday. And then I did not hear from administration. I did hear from my deputy on Saturday, but very briefly to explain to me what was out there if I had gotten the email, not from administration again. So we got to respect that we are elected officials. We all have some folks that we have to work for. If there is a process, I felt that I should have gotten a call from you, Mr. or the attorney. Or whoever wanted to call me, because and it's getting to the point where it's not like I'm frustrated, but I don't know, because if you decide to call one person, because you don't know as a representative of one district in this city what was my opinion. What if I may not have wanted the current person that we have to do the audit. And I didn't know an audit was done. I thought when I called the attorney, and I believe it was yesterday, I called the attorney. Not that he called me or Mr. Manager called me. The attorney called, I called the attorney, and I had a specific question regarding an independent process that I wanted to explore. Because what's happening is we have folks, and here's the problem. We are the front line out there. When something is made, they are calling us, and I have to defend this administration because I am part of the administration, and I am willing to do that. But you guys have to work with us in order for us to do that. Because if the public does not trust administration because that's what's going on, or they don't trust us as elected official, at least give me I would say the respect or the courtesy of this is what was said, and I understand the attorney said if anybody were to get fired and get an attorney, I understand, but not everybody is our budget person or whatever the case is. So if someone from another department, you take everything by the merit of the accusation. And again, I don't know if that's the direction that I wanted to go in, because there are some concerns. I even was exploring an emergency meeting, and then the attorney advised, since we are meeting today, which was true because I called him yesterday, let's discuss it. So I thought that's where it was at, because nobody from nowhere told me there was an exploration or the hire of an independent auditor, or because I know we have someone in-house who does it. At this particular point, I don't know if I'm comfortable. I think we need, as this body, to select We do have an independent auditor, but I think we do need someone outside from that process to look at that. Please, this is, let me say, guys, please, because let me say this. These are, on the same token, these are professionals. And I had hard conversation with a lot of residents because anybody could make an accusation, and somebody said, well, you always, always doing always giving folks the benefit. And I have to, because I don't know if I right now trust everything my administration says until otherwise. And since I have been on the council, I could say this much. I have not had any stuff that's not accurate that pertain to the deputy or the manager, and that's just my personal experience, and everyone has theirs. So at the same time, there is a due process. So I just want us to give the respect, just like Councilman Galvin, Vice Mayor Keys, Councilman Bien-Aimé, we all are concerned. This is our city. Somebody made an allegation. This is not just anyone. This is someone who deals with this was our assistant budget director. So it does raise the flag. I do think that, and I'm hoping everything is inaccurate in the letter, because I had to read the letter twice, just to make sure what was said. But we do have a process. So I do not want anyone, because of somebody's, and I'm gonna say this, and please don't take it any old way, because of somebody's, if you disagree with someone, you would assume certain things. Please don't do that. Because of somebody's race, you would assume of something. Please don't do that. And I have had conversation with some folks that kind of leaning towards that, and not majority of the folks that I talk to. But please just be respectful. I will get to the bottom, and I think we all are committed to get to the bottom. If something is wrong, then we will deal with it at the time, but please do not jump to conclusion. Somebody made an allegation. I am firm to say I want an independent person to come in and tell us, I think, Ms. Alston, this is the first time we're going to agree. Well, I think we agreed on maybe a little bit of things, but we need a forensic. I know that. We do need something, a forensic, some audit that will, just to make sure. And this is just the right thing to do. And that's just my position. Now, I do think we have to make that recommendation, and it could still be the same auditor, but it had at least to come from us. I didn't know all these moving parts were going, because here's my concern. If they make the allegation with us, then we as the council, I would think the person would be at least talking about, we could independently, but I don't feel, and I don't think the residents feel, because we got to prove to the residents that everything is transparent, and I don't want them to feel like, okay, we pick someone, because all of us are not, and especially for me, I am not an accountant. I do my best to go line by line in the budget, department by department, some department, and I'll talk to the manager about it, but I only know what I'm told. That's not one of my profession, so I have to respect the budget professional, our deputy and the manager, what they say, and Mr. Henley at this point. So we just have allegations. So let's look into it and let's get this audit done. But I would like to say it's independent from anyone that we have dealt with, at least for my sake, and I'm not questioning anyone's ability to do it, but I just felt like I didn't know about it until now, and I don't really, I'm not really happy with that little process. Thank you so much, Madam Vice Mayor.
And Madam, and I read the letter, and at the last council meeting when we were discussing the budget, the second reading, and I raised some questions, and I was kind of unhappy with the answer, but no one says anything until someone from the outside to come and tell us this is what's going on in the city. After 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 budget at my office, and I review all of them. I'm not aware, and from my understanding, that there is any illegal activity when it comes to the budget. But for the public, we would like to know exactly what's going on, and I'm hoping that we hire someone from the outside to review the 17 and the 18 budget so everyone can know exactly what's going on. It's not for me, because my questions have been answered, and I review from 13 to 18, and my questions has been answered. That's been for the public, for the residents, the constituent who would like to know what's going on. Is it true or false? What's going on? And they won't believe me, they won't believe the administration. And let's bring someone from the outside to review the 17-18 budget and bring the presentation. So even though with that, you know, not everybody will be satisfied, but let's do it from an outside firm so everybody can know exactly what's going on. That will be my suggestion.
Councilman?
But not for me personally, because my question has been answered, and I don't see where there is a $20 million discrepancy from 13 when I was city council, and we had like $62 million in the budget, from now where we have $40 million in the budget, and we know the groundwater remediation, the 13 million from the county, all those money were there, but for the public, they need someone from the outside to tell them exactly what's going on with our 17-18 budget. I'm in favor of bringing a firm, but not the one working for the city right now. If we're gonna go to an RFP to an independent one, I would be okay with that.
Councilman Galvin?
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Procedurally, this is such a difficult situation, because obviously I'm asking you, Larry, for information on how things would proceed with allegations that have been leveled against you. If we put out an RFP for a third-party investigator, what is your estimated timeline and cost for that?
I couldn't tell you, honestly, because you know, we'd have to put, you know, get the specs together. It's certainly going to take longer than the time frame committed by the internal audit. I want to be clear about something. The internal auditor that this body chose is independent. They don't work for they don't work for me. They're a third party, independent by accounting standards and all other legal matters, independent of the city. So I understand you may want some to go by
let me say
somebody
this.
else, but
Yeah, here's where I'm going to go with this. I want to pursue the RFP for the third-party independent, but at the same time, I'd like Mr. Brunson's firm to do what they say they can do by the next meeting, because we could have some clarity within the next 2 weeks, while at the same time getting the process rolling for a third-party independent observer. If come time and we need to, you know, pull the trigger on that, we can still pull the trigger on that. We can still get the ball rolling on that tonight. But if we can get some clarity into this professionally, and I've known Mr. Brunson since I worked for Congresswoman Meek, so we're talking about 30 years ago. If there's some ability to get some clarity into this within 2 weeks, I'd like to have that too, because that could help inform me as to whether or not we need to spend the money and the time, because the RFP means bids. It means time and process. I think we owe it to the residents to have answers sooner rather than later, if possible, even though we realize that those answers might not be full answers and we still need to pursue the third party.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'm in total agreement with you. Mr. Brunson's firm, he is not the firm that does our CAFRs, is that correct? This is something you've instituted, so we have an additional independent auditor that comes in and does an independent internal audit.
Madam
Let
Vice
me-
Mayor, can
yeah,
I say
because,
something? Madam Vice Mayor, and we're not questioning the firm.
Yeah, and I don't want to do
Okay.
that. That's not
No.
where we
No,
are.
we're not questioning the firm. The
No.
problem is the residents are going to question
Yeah,
the
yeah,
firm.
exactly.
Yes, because-
anybody
and-
who's associated with anybody who's sitting up
Exactly.
here is going to come under
And
question.
and Councilman and Vice Mayor, that was the thing. It's one of the most respected. That's why I didn't even know that until right now that we did that. What I think that could have happened, it could have waited, and then we made the decision, and we asked either. You want to say something, Mr. Attorney?
But what
The
we-
purpose,
Hold on,
just so
hold
you
on.
understand, sir, the purpose of the audit was not, I mean, you could still order an audit. The purpose of the audit when we fired Terry was because we knew questions were going to be asked, and we wanted to have, we wanted
Mr.
to have
Attorney,
answers as quickly as.
Mr.
Can I-
Attorney.
Sir, we want to have question,
Wait,
answers
wait,
as
wait,
quickly
wait.
as possible. So you could still order an audit.
Wait. We're not discussing hiring, firing. That's not what we are discussing.
No, but-
We're not discussing about that.
But we have an audit that has started that.
And
That's fine.
Councilman, wait a second. As Councilman Galvin said, we'll get us some answers right away. There's about 3 or 4 items. We can get an independent opinion as whether these items are accurate or not. We can, in the meantime, we're gonna wait a month, 6 weeks to get an outside auditor.
I mean, understand, I mean, we are now in a pre-litigation posture. If a lawsuit comes, if a personnel board action comes, I have to be able to respond. So again, the audit wasn't really for the purpose of the council. The audit was the purpose for the staff. You can order another audit, but I need to get this information because I may have a lawsuit tomorrow, and I have to be able to answer to that lawsuit.
Mr. City Manager, I think what we are asking is not questioning the firm. We
they're
still,
fine.
we
I'm fine
still-
with it. I'm
we're
fine.
still gonna continue to do that
I'm fine.
for the
I want
sake
y'all
of
to
the
know I'm fine.
public that may be unhappy that
No,
we are
but-
choosing someone from the outside. At the same time, we'd like to see you put an RFP out there and hire someone else.
So do
Like
we
you're
have a
gonna
mo-
have the first
Wait,
So do we
opinion.
make a motion to hire an
Hold
outside
on,
firm?
not
You're
yet.
gonna have
I mean,
the first
discussion,
opinion
yeah.
next council meeting, and we can wait maybe in 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months to get the second opinion. But we're not
Let me-
questioning the firm and
Yeah,
the partisan or whatever it is. Okay?
I'm
That's
fine. I
all
just
we're
wanted
doing,
to
yeah.
I just wanted to be clear. It's not a staff person.
No,
No,
we
we
know.
know.
We,
Okay.
listen, we
That's
know.
not what we are
but
discussing.
the attorney now just opened more question than answer to me. So you guys hired the firm after he was fired because what was
He's on retainer.
He's on retainer. He's
This is
already
Okay,
been
so-
he's
paid.
been our internal
I
auditor
understand.
for
okay?
in excess
let
of
me,
a
let
year.
me rephrase my question. So you guys retained him. I'm trying to understand what was said. So after, because we assume, or I just want to get it right. I just want to understand.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let me go back then. On April 25th, 2017, this city passed a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami to negotiate and execute an agreement between the city of North Miami and Anthony Brunson, PA, for the provision of internal auditing services at a cost not to exceed $75,000 annually. So you're paying an independent auditor $75,000 annually to be used by the city. As a city attorney, whose job is to defend the city, when these allegations come in, and I think you may have read in my letter, I have to know one way or the other what's going on. And I don't know anything about budgeting. I have to have the materials I need in order to defend the city. So I asked the manager, I said, if we have an independent auditor on retainer, go ahead and have them start the process of having an internal audit, at least for me, so I know one way or the other what's
When
going on.
did you do that, sir? What day?
I asked them on Tuesday of last week when I was aware of the termination.
Okay. I don't know when I learned about it. I probably assume on Wednesday or Thursday of last week. Wednesday. Okay, that's when I knew. Because I think you told me. But I think he told me, right? Yeah, before. No, Wednesday. On Wednesday. Okay. Now I'm more lost than ever. So Wednesday, so he was, and I don't want to go into it because there might be loss. So I just want to make it. I'm just not. That's fine. Let me ask this question because I don't want to say something that's going to be a little bit more, and I'm trying to be careful because I don't know what to say because there might be litigation and all this and all that. I just don't like the whole thing that it was ordered before. I thought it was just something yesterday. Somebody just said, let's go. But if it was last Tuesday, that's a week from yesterday just to, so.
Councilman.
Yes, sir.
Through the manager, there were obvious problems in the budget process. That's why Mr. Henley never doesn't work here.
I understand that.
We're
not, yeah, don't even mention that.
With that being said, as soon as we terminated, let's get somebody here to review exactly everything that happened in this budget process. We needed that done immediately because Mr. Henley was working on the budget. Can I tell you that I went through every single page that Mr. Henley worked on? I can't tell you that because we got involved around the end of July time.
Jesus.
So that's why we need an independent auditor to come in and go over the books. So they're looking at the books and we're reviewing everything. But that's why we need an independent auditor before it even started. So we were already doing our job. It wouldn't have been prudent on our part if we wouldn't have been trying to get an independent auditor in here if we're firing somebody we had no confidence in. So this is us doing our job as professionals moving forward.
So,
yeah, because
Madam.
Councilman Galvin.
Sure, thank you. Again, I think it's prudent to let the person who's on retainer do what they can do, present what they can present. If we don't like it, if the community doesn't like it, we've already put in motion the process for an RFP for a third-party person. I don't want to be sitting here in 4 and 5 months' time still debating whether or not whatever happened around this situation because RFPs and bids take time. So,
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like, sure, I'm happy to make the motion that we allow the independent.
There's no motion. They already start working. So what's the motion to make?
Just to give clarity, I guess.
That's administrative.
They're already administratively ordered an audit of the budget process.
So since that's already ongoing, I don't need to make a motion, but, you know.
But
let me
the
ask this.
residents and we want something additional, but you can't just go outside, look and Google an account and you've got to do an RFP.
Right. The same way they're distrustful of whether or not the third-party independent firm will be independent, they'd be distrustful of anybody we put the bid out for and then accept, because obviously the only people with the power to hire any firm going forward is this body. So if you distrust absolutely every last one of us up here, there's never going to be a path to make everyone happy.
And we are going to be paying for it because I've had people ask me for an auditor that the city's not paying for. We're not going to get any audit that we're not paying for.
Oh, yeah. And then somebody who's working for free, you're going to distrust why they're working for free because does my grandmother's niece work for them? I mean, I get that. So if we've got a third party on retainer and they can bring back some information by October 9th or earlier, bring it back. In the meantime, I say we give direction to staff to put out an RFP for an additional, not affiliated with any of us right now, an additional third-party, nonpartisan firm to come in and complete an audit.
Let me ask you a question, Councilman. When we had not you, Councilman. You've been here. You may know when we had the CRA audit by the OIG from the county. How did that process work?
That was
from the state.
So no,
from the state.
No. The recent one where we presented the report to you already.
Yes,
the one
from the Miami Dade.
If you recall, when we were going through the process of having our life extended, the OIG, I guess we were on a rotation, decided it was time for us to be reviewed again, and so they did that review. So that's
can city, Mr. Attorney, request that they come and do it and you pay them? How does that work?
Actually, that's what I just called the procurement director up. So there's a couple options. I want to see if there's maybe something like the OIG, maybe the state, maybe they have someone who can come in immediately to do it because
the state, trust me, I fought this battle for years.
Yeah,
the state doesn't come in without
right.
without Right. Votes by the commission and sponsor. Don't think we're getting
So
the state in here.
the other
anytime
option
soon.
I suggested.
We did
is-
that.
The other option.
We did that already. The forensic audit.
Right. And the state found nothing. That's what's ironic
we
about this
spent
all.
time-
We have had recent state audits, OIG audits,
Everything.
independent audits that found nothing. But
Okay.
let's make sure there's nothing.
Okay, so to deal with what you just brought up about the trust, what I just discussed with the procurement director is the possibility of looking at other cities, pulling up 3 piggybacks.
Yeah,
of
he
3
liked
piggybacks of 3 CPA firms that are doing an audit for other cities. And then you all can pick out of the 3 or 5 or whatever you suggest, and then that way it's not even staff doing it, but
let
at
me
least you
say
know
this.
that they've gone through procurement processes.
And that's why I'm a little bit upset, because if somebody had had that conversation with me, that would have been my suggestion. It was the OIG, or can we, which I hate piggyback, but can we look at other cities and see what they have, and by tonight, we pick somebody and direct through the manager, if the manager gonna accuse whoever, Natasha, is she here, or somebody, to with the purchasing director to just get that firm to do whatever that needs to be done, et cetera, et cetera. But let me ask you another question. When we put out that bid for the to get Bronson and Anthony Bronson, was there a list? Was it a pool, or it was just
That was a
one
piggyback off the county's.
off the county's
county's contract.
Okay.
And we approve it here.
No. I know. Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying. So for the other one, so by the 9th, you're suggesting, Mr. Galvin?
Yeah, no, I think that by the 9th, Mr. Brunson's firm has apparently said they can bring back some initial findings. Are you thinking, Councilman DeSolme, that we on the 9th then
Select,
direct? You're right. Select somebody from the.
While we're doing that,
Yeah.
then
Okay,
we
if
can
we
turn
can
over.
streamline the
Yes,
process
I
and make it
think
quicker.
At the same
Yeah,
time.
and then you call it a day. And then that should clear everything. and
So
I'll
the
get-
only question is, how many firms do you all want to consider?
Give us
No, you have the internal one, and you just put an
that's
RFP
what- no,
no,
to hire another one.
Right. No, what he's
What
saying
he's
though,
saying-
Councilman DeSolme, he's saying the internal Brunson firm is going to bring back
Yes,
something
yes,
on the
I
9th.
agree
Next
with that.
week, yeah.
I agree.
But beyond that,
On the 9th, have
we-
3 firms,
we
or
can
3 or
have-
4.
Not on the night.
Why not? That's what
You-
you said.
You said
You wanna do it on the- on-
No,
on the
we're not gonna
13th?
do it.
No,
We're not
He's
gonna
saying
do- We're
he's
not
gonna-
gonna do an
we're not doing
RFP.
an RFP.
We're
He's
going
gonna
to have,
piggyback.
we're gonna have,
23rd.
But like I said, all those questions for the public, not for me.
Okay, that's you, but it's all, it's
but we're
for
the
me
ones who
also.
have to give directions
Yeah.
to staff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but
So-
we have to
to-
give them
for the public,
direction.
not
Yeah,
for
they're
me.
not.
All right. How about
Maybe
this?
we should do a referendum.
I'll
and-
throw this out for consideration.
Yes.
On the 9th, we hear back from Brunson. If we don't like what Brunson has or finds, etc., if that's not palatable, we
No,
immediately choose from 3
no.
firms that fit the counties or whomever's else
Durham.
piggyback.
Councilman, I don't, it's not like, I don't want us to say if we don't, I just think that what we did, what you said before, I would definitely support that. We have that, whatever he's gonna have, it is what it is. And we still have the independent ones, that we pick one from the 9th and call it a day.
but if we've got,
Whatever we pick,
if our
okay, we're gonna.
purchasing director gives us
That's what I'm saying, 3 names.
4,
Yes.
5 names.
Whatever,
And
exactly.
has them there.
Yes.
And if we are not satisfied, the people are not satisfied with what Brunson has come up with, then we can go ahead and vote to hire.
Well,
an
that's
additional firm.
that's the thing. I don't want it to be if they're not satisfied, because there are some the concern. Here's the concern, and like Councilman Bieneme said, not necessarily.
If these are simple black and white questions, yes,
They are.
no.
Yes,
then-
no,
Very simple.
exactly.
And if provable,
However, this
then
is
that may be
this is
that may be sufficient.
well to you, but to some it may not. But what I'm saying, here's where I think I'm to make it plain, Brent, so that everyone understands. Although they are independent of us, although we know that, they are still members of the public. The fact that the administration that they are accusing reach out to them to do it, that they already have in their mind that they want someone else, which is legit. So I do understand that. So that's what I'm just saying. I don't assume that they're gonna find nothing. I just think that why not?
I don't really feel that a firm like Brunson's firm is gonna do anything but an honest,
You know, that's
I'm
a
not saying
license.
it's in it, huh?
When it's certified,
they're not
a
gonna.
CPA
You know what?
give you an
They're not gonna
opinion.
risk their
That's a
license
state license.
Okay, I don't know where we're going. I give up.
In the meantime, we'll get, so I think we're gonna have the three brought to us, and we're still going ahead with the independent, which is prudent, is something our administration needs for themselves anyway. We'll get it, get the answers, and in the
Because-
meantime, so we're not wasting time and waiting till the night. Mr. Destrada, you'll be presenting us with 3 to 5 firms.
That I certainly
at-
support.
at simultaneously, so we're
Yes,
working
thank
towards.
you.
Who's gonna pick up the phone?
We are.
Us?
Yes, the
We'll
three.
do it like we do.
We'll pick it.
We'll
What
pick
about
from
if
the
we
three.
call a friend and Ben?
What do you mean a
Okay.
friend?
We don't
How
have
you
it.
We don't have
gonna-
a friend.
That's the thing. There's no perfect scenario by which
should-
nobody's
And we may not
influenced
pick a
toward.
firm on the
Yeah.
9th.
Right.
We may just decide
Maybe
on the
send the
9th.
public, I haven't said anything. We're gonna do the internal one. In 2 weeks, they're gonna be able to speak and express their opinion on which way we're gonna go.
And on the 9th, will give
Because-
us, we might not vote or actually hire someone on the 9th, but maybe in 2 weeks after that, we'll have
If
decided.
they feel like they're happy with the questions
Right.
and, I don't know,
You
let's wait
you
for
have
2
to
weeks.
play it by ear and see how it evolves.
Right.
The question is coming to the truth. If we're satisfied with the first, great. If not, then we go further and hire another firm. Everybody needs to be satisfied, clear, and not be worried about our city. So you have a motion?
You didn't say anything, Ken?
So to clarify, here's what I'll suggest on the record, that we move forward with Mr. Brunson's presentation by October the 9th, and that at the same time on the same agenda,
It's a
staff.
discussion.
Right, there'll be a discussion item on the October 9th presentation. Obviously, if Mr. Brunson can put forth any information before the 9th so that people have a chance to digest it, look at it, think about it, that's vital, yeah. But depending on the outcome of Mr. Brunson's presentation and everybody's digestion of it, that we also have staff concurrently bring to the city council that same night 3 to 5 CPA firms who would perform an independent audit, and that the council would select one of those firms to perform it.
I would second that.
Okay.
You got that, Mr. Etienne? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's direction, right?
Directive.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we
direction.
have to all agree to it.
Yeah.
I don't think one person can give a direction for the rest of the
Yeah,
council.
we need a vote.
I will make a motion. Everybody bust out your pens. Here we go. I'll make a motion that we go forward with the ongoing internal investigation being done by the Brunson firm. And simultaneously, we direct staff to come back to us on the same October 9th night with 3 to 5 firms, CPA firms, that if we are not satisfied with Mr. Brunson's results, we have the ability to direct
Wait,
or
wait,
choose
wait,
from
wait,
one of those
Councilman
firms.
Galvin,
Sure.
just
You second for
discussion.
discussion?
Yes, second for discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's you.
I don't like the fact that if we don't like, there's nothing not to like. He's an accountant. He said it's black and white.
If we feel further action is necessary.
I know
That
we're gonna
should be-
feel further
That's
action.
that's a better term. If we feel further action is necessary. Because I get it. If everybody in this room thinks you're going to like what they find on the 9th, we're all fooling ourselves. So obviously somebody's going to be happy, somebody's not going to be happy.
So, but
the truth
that
is the truth.
That's why I don't want it to be just because I don't see. You know, I just want it to be. Here's my thing. What's the problem if we say we'll get this one, which we really, because staff had already ordered it, so it's not really the council directing staff because it's already doing. Right. All I'm asking, if you can revise that and just make a separate motion for us to get the council an independent firm on the 9th, the same criteria to do an audit, and the residents will be satisfied because that's just
The
my.
resident gonna be satisfied. Which resident? Your resident?
All right.
All the residents.
Allow
We mean my residents.
Allow me to
yes.
offer, I'll withdraw my original
You know,
motion.
I'm done,
And
I'm
allow
done.
me to offer 2 separate motions, and I'll ask that they be voted on separately. Here's my first motion. We understand that staff has already undertaken an audit by that third-party independent, Mr. Brunson's firm. I'll make a motion that we support staff in moving forward with that, with the direction being that they make a report on October the 9th.
For that, you don't need a motion. You just ask them to put the
Okay,
item on the
so
agenda.
we're already clear on that, then
Yeah.
I'm not gonna state it in the form of a motion.
Okay.
Here is my other motion that perhaps we need to vote on. On October the 9th, staff will bring back to this council the names of 3 to 5 piggybacked CPA firms that we are able to direct, if desired, to continue an audit if we feel so necessary.
Of the 2017 and 18 budget.
Correct. No, the 18-19 budget. We just approved 18-19. It's
Yeah,
18-19
17,
that's
18,
been-
18, 19, yeah.
It's 18-19 that's been called into question.
18, 19, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't, let me ask you a question. So, some of these allegations aren't necessarily budget items, it's a whole, it's not just the 18-19 budget,
It's all intertwined, right?
All right, wait, guys. We need to have a clear motion for
We
the
don't have it
record.
yet, that's why we are
So that's what I'm
discussing.
saying. So was that your motion, Councilman, or are you tweaking
yet.
it? Are you gonna redo it?
I
Y'all
thought
wanna
I was,
discuss it first
I thought I was
before-
pretty clear.
Okay. So
that's
3 to 5 firms come back to us on October 9th that we have the ability to choose from. Doesn't mean we have to, doesn't mean we will, doesn't mean we won't, but 3 to 5 options be presented to us on October the 9th for
for
consideration.
the 18-19 budget?
For the 18-19 budget.
I would second that.
Yeah. So I honestly don't. I can't clear because when you were starting your initial your original motion initially, and then Councilman Bieneme interrupted and recommended.
The first one didn't need a motion.
No, I'm talking about the second one where you intervened and asked if you wanted 17, 18, and then there was a discussion there, and then you said some more stuff, and we need to have a clear record. Please, just
Here we go.
Okay.
Nobody cut me off. I'm going to try this in 30 seconds. I'll make a motion that we direct staff on October the 9th, 2018, to bring back to this council 3 to 5 CPA firms for consideration in a continued audit of the 2018 and 19 budget year.
perfect. Do I have a motion to Councilman Galvin's? Do I have a second to Councilman Galvin's motion?
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin, as stated on the record just now. That motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
I have
Aye.
a question.
All of,
Wait. You're talking about 18, 19, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but understand if 17, 18 are not accurate, it's gonna be the same
Right.
thing for.
And
But in
here's the
those letters that you're talking about, you say 17
It's
wasn't, didn't
not
balance
budget.
7.
Right. It's true that we can't change the 17-18 budget because it's over in about 36 hours. If something rises to the level of suspicion or criminality, as some have said, let's do a forensic audit, every CPA firm in town is duty bound to report that and begin that process. So if in doing the 18-19 audit they find
that's
something that
fine.
smells really bad over here, they don't just pretend like they don't see smell the smell.
Okay.
They have to continue on it. So
Okay.
so I have the
Yeah.
motion as stated by Councilman Galvin on the record. That motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 4-0 vote. Whew.
Thank you.
All right, real quick during my quick report, I'm elected as well, so I know the public is expecting me to be heard briefly on what was done. I got all the phone
Where?
calls.
You're out of order.
Yeah, I'm doing my report now. So let me
I
just
love
be
you,
clear.
Michael.
Yeah, thank you,
Go
Scott.
ahead.
So let
Go
me just
ahead,
say
Michael.
this. It's extremely important that every man, woman, child have access to due process. Allegations are made. We got to go through the due process phase to make sure that individuals are being accused justly or convicted justly. But after my conversations with members of the public, especially during the budget time, I don't think we're quite getting what their concerns are. Let me give you an example, and this is an exact example. We don't have enough individuals cleaning the streets, allegedly. 4 people in the mayor council's office makes a total of 700 grand, give or take. Now, Duke is remarkable, Larry is remarkable, We can't just crucify them now because of these allegations, but the administration, the councils, can be crucified for allowing high salaries, runaway salaries, in which members of the public are concerned about how reckless we are with spending our money. Despite the fact that we pay a lot of taxes, I pay taxes on 2 properties in the city, our millage rate, fortunately, has been going down, but we're still at the 7.5, which is high compared to other South Florida cities. We're not a poor city, we're not a rich city. The fact that this came out, as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe those allegations against these 2 until we go through the process. I know Larry and Duke to be honest people. However, it doesn't mean that we can't be a lot more careful with the way we spend our money. And I think that we are missing this point. They're complaining about the way we spend our money, and what do? We spend more money, and that's hiring auditors. And this is my opinion. This is my report. So I just say, members of the public, please let's not crucify people until we get the facts, but we can crucify our mayor and council if they're supporting conservative, fiscal, responsible budgets. But let's wait until the facts before we crucify them, but we can start crucifying them for voting on their budget. And that's my report. Thank you.
Council report?
Wait, drop the mic. Oh, wait, it's attacked.
Drop the mic, oh Lord.
You have a council report?
No. Was that the great Make North Miami Great Again speech?
You have a council report?
That was it. That was my report. That was
No report.
Okay.
You can't.
I just want to make sure everybody knows it wasn't quite advertised. Friday night, we have Nestor Torres, Jazz at Mocha, at 8 o'clock. And before that, we are going to have a cocktail party, White Tropic Nights. It is a $10 donation for the Friends of the Library. And I'm pleased to announce that all the food and refreshment, which we will have, has been donated by all of our local vendors. So it's not costing us anything, but it will be a nice cocktail party. I hope to see everybody Friday at 6 o'clock. Awesome. Councilman, do you have any council reports?
No.
Okay. Do we have any?
Let me get that, Councilman.
When? Because we, what? It's fine.
So, is this passed? Just a quick, I know we didn't mention this, National Night Out is Tuesday, October 2nd here in front of the North Miami Police Department. So National Night Out from 5:30 to 8:30. Thank you.
Thank you.
And on Friday.
Mr. Attorney, do
did
you have
we
a
talk-
report?
Wait, did you talk about Hispanic Heritage Month?
I did.
You talk about the block party, the street
No,
party?
I did not. Do you want to mention that? The street
Yeah. In front of El Kiosco is gonna be Friday the 19th from 6 to 10. In front of El Kiosco, we're gonna have a Hispanic or Latinos Heritage Month, and we're gonna have 2 bands. I think next week you will have more information about it. It's gonna be a street party. Everybody is invited. It's gonna be October 19 from 6 to 10 p.m. in front of El Kiosco. We're gonna close the street.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, you have a report?
Yes, Vice Mayor. Last Thursday, there was a mediation held in the Emil Holland versus City of North Miami case. It's case number 117 CV 24197 before Judge Scola. We did reach a settlement, much to my surprise. So I'd like to present that to you at an executive sessions to be determined. I have to make the announcement per Florida statute at this meeting, and then we'll work with you to get a meeting. I know next meeting we have CRA before it, so we may have to meet independent of it. I'd like to get that. If you vote to settle, I'd like to do it earlier rather than later. So if we can work with our schedules to get that done, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, you have anything to report?
Yeah, I do. You know, this situation is quite interesting, and I don't intend to impugn anybody's reputation. Unfortunately, mine was. A person was allowed to link something that I had no involvement in, spin in the paper, and the damage to my professional reputation has already occurred, regardless of due process and wait until the facts come out. and I don't get that back. You know, you're my bosses. I submit to you from the first day I walked in here. I've only done things to improve the financial integrity of this organization. I've made sure audits got done well on time. Got through the state audit, which took 2.5 years to be completed with no findings. CRA audits, our financial audit every year, and unfortunately, an employee who we were documenting was not performing their job is allowed to, late on a Friday night in the cover of darkness, create all of this stuff. You know, on myself and my deputy. And we're very dedicated. Yes, we make mistakes. We don't always make the meetings and get you the right information on time, but we do make the effort, as does all my staff. And so all I will tell you is, you know, for now, we'll let the due process happen, but I remain committed to the integrity and transparency that I've always done here. And like Councilman Bieneme just said, I am one of those licensed CPAs that could lose everything because of an allegation like this. And I have a family just like everybody else, and it hurts when people just, for whatever reason, maybe you don't personally like me, that's fine. Everybody doesn't like everybody. But I am a consummate professional, as has been proven, not today, not last year, not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, over 25 years ago from day one. So, you know, we'll let the process go. And just so everyone is clear, because of the optics, I have stayed out of it. I've let an already selected internal auditor do the work. I'm fine with you guys selecting whoever you want. I will not be involved in the process. I will let the purchasing director do his work and bring it back to you with none of my involvement, to be clear to the public about my transparency. But I want the record to be corrected. And that's my report for tonight.
You just got to take it as a man. It's not going to be corrected. That's how we got to understand that. Just taking it as a man.
I'd move to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.